Hello. This is Kim Gadraj, and you're listening to The Activation Show, a voice art podcast to help you speak and live your truth. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about the good girl. Do you have an inner good girl, a part of you that really wants to be perfect and feels a bit ashamed to be anything less than that? Is there a part of you that in different situations tries to kind of tune in to what is expected of you and perform to that over really feeling how you feel and doing and saying what you want? This episode is all about authenticity over expectations and how to soften your inner good girl. So if you have an inner good girl, listen on. This is for you. If you know somebody who has an inner good girl, listen on. This is for you. This podcast episode was recorded way back in the summer. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that process. What's happening with this podcast, it seems, is that I'm alternating a more voice art episode with a more interview style episode, and I'm loving the process. Here's the episode.
I want to see your eyes shine like precious stones, 'cause that means you're coming home and the whole world is shining with you. And the whole world is shining with you.
It's the day after recording episode 1. And this is such an interesting process. I feel like I'm really at an edge as I'm making this podcast. After recording the first episode yesterday, I didn't want to listen to it. There was, I made it. This often happens when I'm at my edge. I make it, and then I just hide from it for a little while. And it's okay. It's okay because I can see that I'm hiding. And what that shows to me is, okay, this is the next step. The next step in this process is to just feel safe enough to listen to what I made. Right now I'm sitting in a patch of sunshine in a beautiful house nearby where my parents live. I'm taking care of 3 dogs here while their owners are on vacation. And it's been really beautiful. You know what? It has been really beautiful. Since I've been living for so long outside England, I've been in Stockholm for about 6 years, I think. At some point, about a year ago, a lot of things happened that just made me more mobile. One of them was moving my work mostly online. One of them was falling in love. And one of them was that my mom, it was a while before that she got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. But it feels important to be close by more often at the moment because I notice how my mom declines. Not every time I see her because I'm coming more frequently now than when I was more, I had a lot of events and things going on in Stockholm, and it was hard to find that space and enough free days to get over for longer periods. But I have been living outside the UK for a long time now, and so when I come back to visit my parents, I am staying with my parents. That is how it has been. And that's very intense, right? To have such extremes of being in a different country even, and really being in my own space and my own life and my own routines, and then going and being with my parents in their space in their lives and their routines. And that's what I want to talk about today, or it's related to what I want to talk about today, because, I mean, I think I've been dealing with this really well when I've been at my parents' place. This concept of the inner good girl who's still trying to impress, who's still trying to get validation, who feels like she needs to be really perfect so that she can get love. That is her core wound. That she strives to be something she is not because she doesn't quite love what she is. I first came across the term good girl detox when I was in a course called Awakening Feminine Leadership by Lovisa Alsen. And it really struck a chord with me. And I know it really strikes a chord with many, 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 many women. And not only women. It is not only a woman's wound. I think we see that when we talk about the good girl detox. But there is something about, for example, being the woman, the young girl. I'm 35, I'm not so young, but you know, the relatively young, with it, kind, caring female member of a family. There is something, I don't know what it's like in different people's cultures, you know, you guys. But in England, I do feel that a little bit. And it is sometimes hard for me to find a good line. It is sometimes a bit hard for me. It gets very personal, this balance between wanting to help and nurture and care from love, and that so much of doing that is healing. And this other sort of taking care from a wound, which is, please see me, please love me, I'm being good. So it goes really deep. It goes really deep. And so part of, you know, I'm really proud of how I've been in that I feel like I've really been strong in my boundaries when I've been staying in my parents' place. And yet, that discernment, that fact that it is raw for me, and it does take some discernment to really feel and sense where my boundaries lie, because we're really right at the edge of them now. That does take energy. And I'm still in it, you know, when I take my space. Today, I really didn't want to meet past 2:00 because I wanted this good chunk of time. Now it's 3:00 to just really be deep in the creative projects and you know, my days that revolve around my business, they are beautiful and fun and amazing, and they're also more structured because there are things that, you know, do need to be prioritized. And on the weekends, you know, there is no distinction between work and play. If the playfulness and the curiosity and the aliveness want to go into something that's connected to work, like this is, but it also feels really like, yeah, that is what I want to do now, and I can just do it. That is easier to do also when I'm alone. So it feels really beautiful to take this space And it's also why I'm just still filming with my phone in my hand as I wander around. I've got up now from the patch of sunlight and I'm wandering around. And yeah, I think this is inspired by things that I've been listening to and reading about, and all of this stuff about designing my life in the way that most works for me. Maybe the best time that I can make a podcast in the way that I'm just relaxed, and I can get in my flow and the best comes from me. Maybe that's pacing around and just flopping on the couch and in the sunshine and just being relaxed about it. I'm just in the living room and you're here with me and I'm chatting. I'm chatting about things I think are important. The good girl is very much related to those things. The good girl needs to be softened in order to discern clearly who we really are. Who we really are. That sounds so simple, but it's not if we have an overactive good girl. Because the good girl, she is tuned into what is expected. What the good girl does is read in every situation what is expected of me here, and she tries to fulfill it. Her antennae are tuned to the outside world, and within the outside world, the frequency that they're tuned into is what are the expectations here. And when that's learned, it is not a simple process to instead tune the antenna so that they're also picking up what's inward. And they're tuned to the frequency of, what do I want now? What do I need now? How do I feel now? What music do I want to listen to? Not what music would they like or would make them think that I'm cool. Yeah, it's not just with the parents. It gets onto a lot of things. Different people often have a good girl that flares up at different times. I think there are some that are more personal because they've developed from certain, life experiences. And there are others that are more shared.
Stand up straight and sway your hips, but not too seductively. You're gonna get too fat if you eat all that. Make sure you talk politely. Be fun but not too much. You don't want to be called a whore. Be funny, sexy, smile nicely, or all the men will get bored. You look too thin, you'd better eat something. A woman owns her curves. Don't pest, hold your tongue, be nice, don't get on anyone's nerves. And when injustice rises or something makes you feel small, just stay nice and soft and smile, or you'll be called hysterical. In the chaos of the crossfire of who we're supposed to be, stands a child with eyes that shine wide. trying so hard to be good.
I choose wild hair, I choose bare toes. I choose to move in all directions like the wind blows. Even if it hurts you, I still make the choice to say no. I'm taking off my halo. Do things cause I want to, not just cause the rules say so. Maybe I won't be called a lady, but hey ho. Not like it's gonna stop me going my way though. And seeing how the days go, I don't think I'm the only one deciding not to play. So hold tight, it's gonna be a surprise when a generation of women decides to dare to rise, claiming the right to be ugly, singing the songs of the free, daring not to be the nice girls who smile and fawn and please. Remove the stains of shame, don't let them spread like a disease. Change the rules of the game so nobody's on their knees. It's time to take a different picture, put it in a new frame, cause I'm pretty sure pretty soon it's gonna change.
In the chaos of the crossfire of who we're supposed to be, stands a child with eyes that shine wild with a longing to be free, stuck inside a never-ending tale of musts and shoulds, aching, tired, heavy from trying so hard to be good. In the chaos of the crossfire of who we're supposed to be, stands a child with eyes that shine wild with a longing to be free, stuck inside a never-ending tale of musts and shoulds, aching, tired, heavy from trying so hard to be good.
Trying so hard to be good. And damn, does it free up so much energy when we stop trying. That song, I wrote it years ago, and over time it means a little bit different things, and it still resonates so much. And I know it resonates with a lot of people. It's one of the ones that, I think it's the one that when I play it, it really can bring a lot of tears and resonance and opening. In people. It's one of those ones that is connected to the inner critic. It can just flare up sometimes. You're listening to The Activation Show with Kim Gadraj. I'm going to be back after a short break with some more musings and tools for how to soften your inner good girl and live more authentically. First, let's hear Amber talking about her experience in the Amplify program.
It didn't just happen. You really, really played a big part in like creating the safety in the container. Yeah, I'm just very, very grateful to have worked with you, and also the way you use your voice. It's just inspiring, and it's so. You have so much experience I feel, with working with the voice and just sharing your knowledge, and you share so freely as well, and you're so, what do you say, human, if you know what I mean. Like, you really, at least to me, it seems like you really bring yourself to the table, and not like, oh, I'm up here, like a facilitator. It's really like feeling you as a person.
And I think a real key is the word girl. It does really help me to connect that good girl to young girl Kim. And just bathe her in unconditional love. Just tell her it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter what you do. Because whatever you do, you will just be loved. And so just do what you want. What do you want to do? I love you. Oh. Just like step in. It is not it's almost why the word detox it's been like niggling on me for a while. The word detox. Because if I see my good girl in that way, she's not a toxin. She's not a toxin. She just needs... She is a girl. She's a girl. And there are other parts. There are inner resources to draw on. That with some practice, let us step in and say, hey, I've got this. You're loved. You're loved. What do you want? What do you need? And voice it. Voice it. It can bring some shame in the personal development world. I really think it can. I have felt that in myself, and I've witnessed it in others as well. It's like, wow, I have worked on this. I should be able to do this by now. I should be able to tell my partner how I really feel. I should be able to sing my song around the campfire. I should be able to join in at the mantra circle. I should be able to release my album. There's just this block to being seen for who you really are. This is one that keeps coming back. We find layers upon layers upon layers of it at different times. What we need really, and I do believe that, is this inner environment of nurture. And a deep trust with our ability to stay grounded, stay connected, stay in touch with integrity, and that the channel is open so that can be expressed. And we can keep that channel open in really beautiful ways, in really fun ways, as we also develop our creativity. The voice itself is so related to this topic. And it's one of the reasons why I really do think that voice activation is a really, really, really under visibilized practice. We are humans. We're humans who breathe. The breath and the body, the yoga, the dance, the ecstatic dance, the qigong practices, all of these kinds of things, these movement practices, they're so big because they are such deep windows into who we are and how we feel and how we show up in the world, how we move. Our breath is like a portal, and so is our voice. For everybody who has a voice. Isn't it a shame in some ways that there has become this sense of you can sing or you can't sing? And so many people get kind of this specific block when it comes to the voice. We go quite deep and quite advanced in my Amplify program. And so what I ask is that people have either done some work before with embodiment or with introspective work or with their personal development. Also with talk therapy. Have they done some stuff like that before, or are they a singer? It might sound like, why would you take people who are scared to sing along with people who are singers? And it doesn't matter, actually. It doesn't matter. Because what we're doing is we're connecting to the deepest expressiveness of the voice. On really the deepest embodied level. And for someone who is blocked when it comes to singing or to singing more or to standing up in front of a group and speaking, then it means the voice is a very beautiful edge. Already it's a beautiful stretch zone. And this way of building a relationship to your voice does it from a very strong place of safety and nurturing a relationship and building a trust. And building a way to make your voice become something that relaxes, calms, and grounds you, even in situations where using it is also making you feel afraid. There's that connectedness. And for the singer, you might either be, really highly trained, and it's hard for you then. That's another manifestation of the good girl who really doesn't want to stray from those rules. And the attention to that is taking away from that flow, that expressiveness. For you also, building this wider, broader relationship with your voice than just your singing education. Building a deep sense of emotional connectedness. These techniques can also help you. And I've really seen this. We don't need to start in a different place with either of those groups, and it's beautiful to have them in the program together. We have a singing teacher, and we have someone who's been afraid to start to use her voice, to start singing. And they're such beautiful parallel processes. And they're both really related to the inner good girl. Not wanting to say something wrong, not wanting to say something stupid, not wanting to say something unkind that could hurt someone, not wanting to say something that could upset the peace, not wanting to shine.
You're more than you seem, it's just the way you played the game. Those walls you built around you became your cage. Oh, you're mighty, that's the truth. It's just the space you're sitting in is too small for you. I wanna see you rise like the tides. I wanna see your chest open with pride. I wanna see you fly high above anything that's not made out of love. I wanna see your eyes shine like precious stones, 'cause that means you're coming home, and the whole world is shining with you. And the whole world is shining with you. You're powerful, it's just the way you chose to frame it. Wasn't spinning your story in favor of you. You're courageous, so name it. It's contagious when you claim it. All you need to be is true. I wanna see you rise like the tides. I wanna see your chest open with pride. I wanna see you fly high above anything that's not made out of love. I wanna see your eyes shine like precious stones, 'cause that means you're coming home, and the whole world is shining with you. And the whole world is shining with you. This is your story, don't get stuck in the middle. This is your tune to play to your fiddle. This is your time, this is my time. Oh, I really, really wanna see us shine. I wanna see you rise like the tides. I wanna see your chest open with pride. I wanna see you fly high above anything that's not made out of love. I wanna see your eyes shine like precious stones, 'cause that means you're coming home, and the whole world is shining with you. And the whole world is shining with you.
And so I'm just telling my inner good girl, it's okay. It's okay, we're allowed to. There's no rules about how a podcast should be. You can have lawnmowers in the background. It's good enough. Something that's really helped me was an advice. I will find the channel on YouTube from a guy who has a beautiful channel. I wish he had more videos on this type of thing. About perfectionism and how it can be very helpful to commit to doing things 70% of the good girl's expectation, is how I'm framing it. 70% is good enough. It's good enough. Now I don't think so much about 70%. And I just say to myself, you know what? Do I think that it is beautiful? Yes. Then it is good enough. Because the question, do I think that it is beautiful? It asks a certain part of me to respond. The contemplation of beauty. It involves the artist. It involves the intuitive. It involves the things that I would really like most to influence that decision. And it also, it's about me. Do I think that it is beautiful? Okay. Then I want it to be seen. Because I have decided that I want to be seen for who I really am. Because the satisfaction in itself of the pure act of doing that, it's worth it, it's worth it, it's worth it. It's worth that some people would not like me. It's worth that people might be disappointed in me. It's worth that somebody might get angry with me or get upset with me. It's even worth that somebody might get hurt because I tried. And I trust myself to do my part in going into a dialogue with somebody that I would hurt. And find ways to learn from that and find ways to make amends in relation to that. It's a very free space to come from. It is an antidote. It's an antidote to imposter syndrome. Do I believe enough to live by it? That my true expression of myself is the highest way to be and act in this world? Then do that. Say that. And there's so much parallel between that and art. The contemplation of beauty, the sensing in, and the wanting to be seen. I think the artist wants to be seen. If the good girl is too strong, she will not let her. But really all the good girl needs is that figure that can step in with nurture and love. And I love opening that up through the voice and through the creativity. Yeah, because I guess when I talk about the inner artist, I don't want you to switch off. I don't want you to think, okay, she's not talking about me right now. I understand that could happen, but what I'm really talking about here, I'm drawing a parallel with art, but I do believe that you as a human are a creator, whether you know that yet or not. And that there is space for every single person's flavor of artistry and creativity. And it's beautiful that we have disciplines and people who really spend their full life dedicated to certain artistic pursuits and make that their thing. And we're so lucky that people devote themselves to that. I'm so grateful at the moment. I'm speaking into this podcast now several months later, because I'm just now getting to editing. And yeah, again, like, I'm listening back on past Kim from the summer. Now it's March, the next year, March. I'm listening back on Kim from the summer and just noticing how much I love this episode, and how much I was judging it before as, old news. Feels like it was so long ago, I won't probably think it's any good anymore. Again, there's this hint of perfectionism coming in, right? And the reason why I bring in artistry as a parallel process now is that, isn't it beautiful that we have a thing that all humans, I do believe, are able to do, which is step into your creativity and express your inner artist. We have different propensities for different forms, and you have yours. Isn't it beautiful that we have that as a microcosm for something that we can focus on, something quite specific, that when we work with it, when we work to release the inner critic from our artistic creations, open ourselves up to expressing ourselves more fully within the creative realm, that there is a mirroring process where those skills that we develop within that bubble of exploring our creativity, ripples out into every single thing we do. Because you are not just learning to hold yourself and be with and move through the voices of the inner critic so that you can write your poem. When you learn to do that, you are also learning to do it so that you can say how you really feel to your romantic partner. Take more space in the world with your ideas. Isn't it beautiful that we have that, and that we have this portal? How when we work with this inner critic that pops up sometimes as a pattern when we decide we're going to be artistic and create something, that voice is, however, also the same voice that likes to try to silence us when we don't, even when we put on a pair of baggy, trashy sweatpants instead of that beautiful dress that we really have our eye on. Because there's something inside us saying, I don't know, your belly's too big for that dress, or people are going to think you're stupid dressing up for that occasion, and, don't draw attention to yourself. That is all inner critic shit. Let's work on that while we also let our creative talent flourish. That's why I love to work with creativity. Especially bringing this lens on the inner critic. Because there is a silent critic of the most scathing kind that dwells within our consciousness and harnesses our mind. It judges what is likable, accepted by the world, and stuffs everything else away where it cannot be heard. She conjures charming smiles and words designed to please, and makes quite sure that everyone gets what she thinks they need. While deep inside, the shadows deepen. Dark and swirling gloom engulfs those wild unspoken things that are not given room. Yet now and then they show themselves, you've seen it in my eyes, in the glimpses of the ugliness that's usually disguised. Flashes of hot frustration, cruel words spoken too soon. Bitter silence charged with sadness. Languid days shrouded in gloom. And yet, there is a secret, known to those who care to see, that the critic need not run the show, expression can be free. That wildness is beauty, vulnerability is strong, that I need not compromise myself in order to belong, that when I welcome the full spectrum of the colours of my soul, I speak and act from a deep peace that comes from being whole, So next time she tries to tell me I am too bold, too meek, too wild, I'll cradle her in love, as though she is a frightened child. Then raise my chest, breathe in, kindle the fire deep inside. Take every single part of me, sing it to the world with pride. Thank you for listening. My name is Kim Gadraj. I'm a voice artist and coach. And in my Amplify program, I help people activate their voice and their creativity so that they can show up in the world in their full authentic expression. So if that sparkles in you, make sure you come find me. My website is www.kimgadraj.com.
Come over to my website.